Welcome to another fascinating edition of Entrepreneurship Bites. Let's meet the team.
This is Kate. I'm Yixuan Elena.
This is Owen.
This is Gonzag.
We explore how entrepreneurs take sparks of inspiration into real-world impacts.
From the coffee table ideas into the real-world global venture.
So grab your coffee, tune in,
And let's take a bite of entrepreneurship.
In this interview, Owen speaks with another former Imperial IEM Masters student, Faith Ibrahim, who has managed to turn her original idea into a super exciting, leading-edge fashion business. We've turned their chat into 2 episodes, so you don't miss anything.
Hi Faith, how are you? Thank you so much for joining us and taking the time to be here. We're so excited to have you. Before we get into everything, I just wanted to start with you personally. Where are you from? What's your story? What brings you to London? And everything, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. So I came to London in 2023. I came for the IEM program from California. I was based in Los Angeles before, and Imperial was always kind of like a dream school for me. I also appreciated the fashion industry in London, so I always knew that I kind of wanted to test it out for myself a little more long term. So 2 worlds kind of collided with fashion and like business school. So yeah, I've been here since 2023, still loving it, still enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a good spot, and IEM is quite fun. When people ask you, what do you do? How do you usually explain it as being a founder or the creator of a clothing company?
Absolutely. It's interesting because I've always been quite multi-hyphenated. So at some point, that is something I struggled with. Like, how do I want to introduce myself? Right. But I always start with impact founder first because the impact of what I do is at the heart of everything. So that is always the first thing. And then I talk about being a fashion designer and then being a speaker. So yeah, that's how I would describe.
Yeah, and you kind of answer my next segue.
Okay.
Before all this, like,
Yes.
were you always into fashion? Was it something you've always loved? Like, kind of give me a little bit more of your roots. You talk about fashion, you talk about impact. So, like, tell me a little bit more about that.
Absolutely. I've always been into fashion ever since I was like, I can't even remember, since I was in primary school. I was always sketching. Like I was one of those people, even though I couldn't even spell jewelry, I would write it on the sketchbook. I actually got into this show called Kimora Lee Simmons' Life in the Fab Lane. So Kimora is like a renowned American fashion designer. So I would watch that show with my mom a lot, and then people in my household started calling me like Little Kimora.
Right.
And yeah, I just got really into it. I started like hand making jewelry, selling that like around with our neighbors and stuff. So I always had an eye for it. Right. And at 15, I moved to California for fashion school, even though that was a very hectic journey with my family. But yeah, so I started college I just turned 16 and I started college. So yeah, that was how I got into it. But yeah, it's something I always wanted from, the onset.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And explain a little bit more about the social impact background. Was that always something?
Yes. The social impact side had always been part of it. So being introduced to the side of farming from my family, all the way from my grandfather, and being immersed with that and kind of seeing the behind the scenes from their side of the story and everything, it was very interesting and also a little bit disturbing. And doing a bit more research, because I'm originally Nigerian, right? And understanding how the resources are shared and just essentially what the industry of that looks like within Africa in general had always been a pain point for me. And then also working in the fashion industry behind the scenes, I started working in product development and production, so international and domestic production. Also seeing how unethical it was behind the scenes. Those 2 worlds came together and I challenged myself because I always feel whatever it is that you have an issue with, and it bothers you a lot, it probably could be somewhat of a calling for you to do something about it. Right. So for me, it was really about being the change I wanted to see. So I always knew I wanted to do something in fashion, but I knew that we didn't just need another brand. Totally. We needed a new system. Right. So I challenged myself in that way, and that is pretty much how social impact and fashion kind of came together for me.
Yeah, it really seems like it kind of comes from really authentic roots, which is so important, and we'll go more into it later, but it's just such a positive thing, especially for an aspiring founder. You talk about when you were little making those bracelets, selling them. So that's quite an entrepreneurship mindset. Do you feel you always kind of had that while you were growing up, or did that build as more you grew older, and you know what I mean?
Definitely, yes. Especially after doing the jewelry, because it just started as a hobby, right? But then it actually started looking good enough that it seemed as though people around me would pay money for it, even though it was like literally change. But still, that can do a lot for your confidence as a young child. So that definitely was my first understanding of even earning any type of money, right? And it was empowering to see that my own skills could do that for me. So I always knew that I wanted to, like, I had this big dream to have like a maison or something of that sort. So that really encouraged me. And I always found myself within just the creative scene as well. So early on, that formed a huge part of my identity. But then I knew at some point I'd have to really figure out how to scale my creative ideas, essentially. But yeah, I think the foundations were great. My parents really helped with that as well. Because even at like 11 or 10, I went to like my first fashion school over the summer. So back in Nigeria, I begged and I was able to do like a 3-month program. So that also gave me more insight to figuring out what I could do with my hands, you know, and seeing what that journey could evolve into.
That's great. Well, I want to touch in on something that we both have in common. You're a past student, I'm a current student of IAM, and I think you answered a little bit, but what really drew you to coming to Imperial and the IAM program?
So I had so much domain expertise. I had been immersed in fashion school, the industry, and all of that. And I remember very early on, one of my favorite professors from my fashion school, she's like, being creative will never be enough. And it's something that I didn't really understand at the time until I decided to actually test out the business side of things. So I started my company at 19, like the first version of it. And I always knew something was missing. I always knew that my business acumen could be sharpened way more. And so I started looking for entrepreneurship programs. And IEM stood out the most because of the fact that it was an interesting way of entrepreneurship. I saw innovation there as well, which I always thought at the beginning was really important. I think that's a really important side of things. So it felt a bit broad, but then it also felt specific enough. And another aspect too that was really cool is the fact that in this business setting, you get to learn about different industries. So it felt like I could kind of park my fashion brain to the side for a bit and get immersed in other parts. So that was something that really, really drew me to the program. And I mean, it's a top school, right? So I just knew that the environment was going to be very inspiring as well.
Yeah. And studying entrepreneurship is not very common. I don't have many programs that are like, come be an entrepreneur. So with this program, it's amazing. But how did that kind of change the way you think? You said you parked your brain for a second. So studying entrepreneurship, can you go into a little bit of how you started thinking differently, or the classes taught you to think a little bit differently?
Absolutely. So I will say in the beginning, it definitely was intimidating because even in my year, I don't think there was any other creative person. And it felt like a very foreign world. I remember I was struggling with accounting, thinking like, oh my gosh, of course I know I need this skill. But it was so hectic getting to, figure it out. But it was so necessary. I always even tell my parents till date that the entire IEM program and the process really changed my life because it really helped me to even figure out what I didn't know. Like, you don't know what you don't know, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. No.
So I just felt like I got immersed into this brand new world, and just even hearing about numbers so much, hearing about business deals, and with the program you get to do a lot of these case studies, and it really shaped my perspective. And I really started thinking like, okay, how do you build a business? How do you build a business that's even like something that could be sold, and just how do you even raise money? Like, all the while starting out initially, I was bootstrapping my way through. So just, grabbing my salary and putting that to fund things. And I was like, I can really do this even with other people's money.
Right, exactly.
So yeah, I really appreciated it. And also with courses like design thinking, for instance, where you have to scrap out idea and kind of start from a customer need or like something you're trying to solve and going through the process of interviewing and all of that. Like, I didn't put that much thought process in the beginning, like when I was testing out the business idea, right? So it just really gave me a new perspective, a new toolkit to really like start from scratch, if that makes sense, with new vision. Yeah.
And you talk about those case studies, you talk about design thinking, all big highlights. Was there another moment in where it all clicked, where the entrepreneurship mindset really like kind of be like, I am in the right place, I made the right choice? Like, when did it kind of like, is there a time you remember?
I will say, yeah. There's so many, but the core one I will think about is when I tried to apply for We Innovate.
Okay.
So it's one of the accelerator programs through the Enterprise Lab. So I think definitely, yes, being within the program and in the classroom and everything, it was great. But then walking into the Enterprise Lab, it felt like a different environment. Like, it felt like, oh, this is incubation. Like, this is where you can flesh out your idea. Like, because they have so many, they essentially design the environment for entrepreneurs to thrive, right? So hearing about the Enterprise Lab, doing a few workshops there, and then trying to apply for the We Innovate accelerator, that really felt like, okay, I'm really going like the next step, if that makes sense. So definitely that. And then I will say also getting to the VC course as well. It felt like a different step because in the beginning of the IEM program, you're learning the foundations and everything with, the general courses. But then VC, that's real entrepreneurial math and stuff. So that felt a bit more applicable to the path that I was on. So it was very specific and it really tilted, my viewpoint.
Sure. And I want to touch on the Enterprise Lab. I don't think a lot of Imperial kids, IM specifically, even like utilize it or even know it's there. So could you just talk a little bit more about it and how you found it organically, inorganically? Because I think it's such a strong thing that like I don't even think I use enough, but it's there.
I tell everyone, like even the mentees that I've had and whatnot, like I'm always pushing everyone to go to the Enterprise Lab. I found out about it. I can't even remember how. Maybe it was like from talking to another colleague that I had, like another classmate or something. And they were like, oh, they're heading over there because I came late. So I didn't even do the, what's it called? I missed the orientation and whatnot. Yeah. So I was just kind of tagging along with some people, found my way there. Because I mean, it's a very small, like the way it's even situated in campus is very hard to
go
find.
Down a couple stairs.
Yes, it's very hard to find it. So that's how I was able to find it. And they have a plethora of resources. So I was able to participate in the We Innovate Accelerator, not the first time I applied, the second time. And that in itself, community of female entrepreneurs, people to help you, so many professionals, and even leading to the accelerator and post the accelerator, they have the, what do they call it, experts in residence, where you literally have consultants to help you for free. Like, this is stuff that I was paying thousands for when I was in California, kind of winging this whole entrepreneurship thing. And they have these and more available at your fingertips, essentially. So I think it's, you need to take.
And it's never too late. Like I feel, so I think that's what I want to make sure is like, if you haven't found it yet, go use it. It's there. Like you said, the consultants, everything it offers. I think it's definitely a resource that should be used more. And I'm also just starting the VC, so I'm excited that I hear all that because it's an intense because it's 2 classes a day, I think. But I mean, you made me feel so much better about it.
my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good. And 2 questions. What do you think Imperial prepared you the best for? And then what do you think Imperial maybe didn't prepare you the best for in the entrepreneurship journey, you could say?
Wow. Gosh, that's an interesting one. Prepared me for, starting out, even being a month late into the IEM program. I came a month late. And I had to quickly adjust, quickly find my footing. I think that was a core thing that, because it's so fast paced. Before, like, you blink and the program is over.
You're right.
Right? So I think definitely speed and taking advantage of opportunity. Absolutely. Networking as well, because it's a big class and you're balancing networking with your classmates, networking with the faculty. That's another thing that people miss sometimes, because some of the greatest help that I've received and I still receive till today is from the academic staff at Imperial. So networking on that front, and then the enterprise lab, and then going for like extracurricular like networking activities. And then I also was working at the I was volunteering for the Africa Business Club. So I was doing like the marketing there as well. So another thing leading to that again is balance. Like Imperial was really like teaching me how to wear all these different hats and just keep the boat still moving, because at the end of the day, all these different things were different avenues to keep me going towards the right vision, like the same vision, if that makes sense. So I think it definitely prepared me for that. And the work was chaotic, okay? Like, it was intense. It shaped me to be a completely different person that I couldn't even recognize. Like, I didn't even know that this level of like effort and resilience and persistence really existed in me to the capacity that Imperial brought out, I will say. So that is definitely one thing. And then didn't prepare me for, oh boy, I think, I don't know if I'll say didn't prepare me for, but I will say academia and real life are always going to be 2 completely different things. So even the presentations and the pitch, I remember the pitch deck that I like had at my, for the final project, right? The entrepreneurship, like final dissertation. I thought it was great, right? And I did get a really good, I think that was like the highest score that I'd ever gotten throughout my time there, just like my pitch alone. And I was like, oh yeah, this is amazing. And then I went into my first accelerator, like it was this like venture capital firm with this like other organization, and the way they tore that pitch apart, I was like, oh boy, I thought I came in here with gold, but clearly not. So I will say it's so different. Like the real world of pitching, like Jesus, like there's a lot of tears over there. I guess there wasn't too much emphasis on how crazy and tough and different it can be, and scary. So that you just have to figure out or find out the hard way.
Yeah, totally. And wrapping up IEM, is there any advice you'd give to current students or maybe even potential incoming students deciding whether or not to come?
Advice. I will say, if you're deciding, please come. As I mentioned, it was a life-changing experience for me. Being in a position where there's like the diversity of students alone is crazy. Like, you will leave the program or the school having at least like 10 good contacts from 10 different countries, to put it that way. And you never know. I think we underestimate what your social class can do for you. I think it's like one of the most important things with networking and just getting, ahead in life. So definitely I will say that if you're looking for a room filled with diversity and so much for you to learn, not just from an academic perspective, but culturally and globally as well, I think it's a fantastic environment to be. And in terms of people that are current IEM students or anything, I will say, beyond even networking with your cohort, create relationships with people in like the academic staff, like people within the enterprise lab. Just be memorable, because yes, it's about like who you know, but also who knows you, like who can think about you for certain, opportunities, right? Who can put your name in certain rooms or even send over certain things to you because you came to mind, right? So I will say, try your best to be memorable, leave a good impression with every interaction that you do. Get yourself into. So yeah, take advantage, man. Because again, even with academic staff, you really don't know how much like experience these people are bringing in, and you don't know what their network looks like too, because you'd be shocked, who your teachers at or who your like directors could put you in contact with. Right. That's the beauty about being in a top, university. So yeah, definitely take advantage of that and have fun. Entrepreneurship is fun.
It's a good way to put it. I think you summed it up quite nicely. Just take advantage of everything, be memorable, and just such a great program. You earlier brought up design thinking, and I want to touch on that because at IM, I love it. It's so special because different classes have you take different approaches when generating ideas. Yes. Design thinking will have you start from the problem. New venture creations, just go to the solution. Talk about how that relates maybe to your company or just entrepreneurship in general.
Absolutely. So design thinking specifically, one of the core messages from there is testing your assumptions. I think there was a beautiful balance, and I think entrepreneurship is a beautiful balance of intuition and research. So I will say prior to business school, I definitely led way more with intuition, kind of just put research at the back. Right. And I don't think that is ideal because you need to pay attention to what is going on. There's time and there's time of opportunity, so you have to be paying attention to the world at large. So I think definitely testing assumptions, and also that in itself gave me a lot of humility to realize that I don't know it all and I could be wrong. Like, even though a lot of times I look at myself, for instance, within my company as the ideal customer, but then now I'm doing menswear and women's wear, right? So the way I think about things is not the way like my male customer thinks about certain things, right? So testing assumptions, interviewing customers, making sure that I'm always in communication with the customer and putting the customer first. Because I think if you are a creative person and, you're leading a business based on your ideas, right, in terms of it's like maybe your ideas for the designs and stuff like that, you can easily get so in your head thinking like, oh, it's all about you. But design thinking really changed my perspective to put the customer first, like put the customer in front of me, and to kind of lead that way. And I think it's the most beautiful thing because you start to also realize that entrepreneurship is a thing of service, like you're serving people. Right. So I think that was a huge shift for me. And then with another course like the technology innovation management, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that one too, because there's so much innovation, especially the world that we're in right now. In 2026, it's AI, it's this, it's that. And there's also like a technological aspect of what I do as well, because we're trying to really go in on traceability. So I have this thing that we're calling from seed to stitch, right? But it's like trying to also build like a technology backing to verify the source of the cotton and all the way to the, finished garment. So that class as well also helped challenge me to really think from an innovation standpoint, what technology can do for you and stuff like that. So yeah, I hope that I feel.
Yeah, no, that was great. No, I appreciate all of that because we do need to hear about all different services and different classes. So this idea came to you much before you even went to California, correct? Or was it kind of?
Version of
yeah.
It, yeah.
So did you solve a problem that everyone was facing, or was it more of an artistic standpoint? Like, just walk me through or did you have other ideas that maybe you vetted out? Like, why did you land on?
Absolutely. So I will say in the beginning, it was just an artistic outlet that just happened to be able to generate some cash for me. Yeah. So it's something I was doing on the side whilst I was still working in the industry. So that was its version in California. And then coming to Imperial, I took a pause from because it didn't even feel like a business. It was really like a side project, like a hobby, right? Yeah. So I paused it for like 2 years, and I was so burnt out because I was a solo founder then, and I thought that was the end. I thought I wasn't going to do it anymore. And so I came into the IEM program with 3 different ideas. I knew that I wanted and that's another thing that drew me to the program too. I looked straight into what the final project was going to be. So I was like, yes, this is a perfect time for me to like test out my ideas. So that is essentially what I was doing. I did like an analysis of all 3, and I was using the coach and I was using the academic director as well to help me really break them down. And it's crazy how when something is your destiny, it'll always find you. It's find its way back. Yeah. So I think it was just about redefining the strategy, and again, putting the customer in front of me and figuring out how to be of service, and also paying attention to the things that were bothering me about the supply chain, and just thinking about what the market needs as well. So I think it was the same version of the idea, but it just blossomed into this beautiful thing, this new thing that was just way more strategic.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed hearing the first part of Faith's interview. Don't forget to hit subscribe to catch the next bit next week.